The NFL just dropped its 2026 international schedule, and it's the most ambitious, or depending on who you ask, the most ridiculous slate of global games in league history. 9 international games, 6 countries, 3 continents, and one very unhappy Hall of Fame defensive end. J.J. Watt took to social media immediately after the announcement and didn't hold back. Quote, "At what point does this just become a traveling circus? Players didn't sign up for this." And you know what? He's got a point that's resonating with a lot of people right now. Let's break down what we're actually talking about here. The NFL announced that the 2026 season, the same year as the World Cup, by the way, will feature 9 regular season games played outside the United States. 3 games in London, which has become standard at this point, one in Paris at Stade de France, one in Madrid at Santiago Bernabeu, one in Munich for the 3rd consecutive year, one in Mexico City, which is basically a second home for the league now, one in Sao Paulo, Brazil, building on last year's debut, and here's the kicker, one in Sydney, Australia. That's right, the NFL is sending teams to the other side of the planet during the regular season. Now, the league is framing this as a massive win for international growth. Roger Goodell put out a statement about bringing the greatest sport in the world to our incredible fans across the globe and building the NFL brand internationally ahead of the World Cup. The business case is clear. These games sell out instantly. International TV rights are exploding in value. Merchandise sales in Europe and Latin America are through the roof. The NFL sees Premier League money and wants a piece of that global revenue pie. But here's where J.J. Watt and a growing chorus of current players are pushing back. The logistics of these games are brutal. Let's start with Australia. That's a minimum 15-hour flight from Los Angeles and over 20 hours from East Coast cities. You're crossing the international date line. You're dealing with a completely flipped day-night cycle. The NFL will give teams a bye week after, sure, but what about the team they play the week after they return? That team is facing an opponent that's still jet-lagged and operating on koala time. And it's not just Australia. Even the European games create real competitive issues. A team playing in Munich has to travel Thursday or Friday, practice Saturday in a foreign country with different field conditions, play Sunday, and then fly back Monday. That's a normal home game preparation window completely shredded. Meanwhile, their division rival is sleeping in their own bed all week, practicing at their home facility and getting a competitive advantage through basic geography. Watt specifically called out what this means for players' bodies. Football is already the most physically demanding sport in American professional sports. The injury rate is insane. Recovery time is critical. Now you're asking players to sit on planes for half a day, compress their spines, mess with their sleep cycles, eat airplane food, and then perform at an elite level against opponents who are just as big, fast, and strong as they are, and do this while knowing one wrong step could be a career-ending injury. Players are looking at this schedule and saying, wait, we agreed to play 17 games. We didn't agree to become the Harlem Globetrotters. Then there's the fan angle, and this is where it gets really spicy in American cities. If your team is selected to play internationally, you lose a home game. Season ticket holders in Kansas City or Green Bay or Buffalo are paying premium prices for packages that now include 7 home games instead of 8. The NFL's response has been, well, you're part of a global brand now. That's not exactly landing well with fans who've been supporting their teams for decades and now have to watch their squad play a home game 5,000 miles away at 9:30 a.m. local time. Let's talk about which teams are going where because the leak suggests some interesting matchups. The Jaguars are reportedly heading back to London, shocking absolutely no one, since they've basically been the NFL's European franchise for years. The Chiefs are rumored for the Australia game, which would be massive for international audiences, but brutal for the reigning champions' schedule. The Cowboys and Patriots are expected to play in Mexico City and Madrid respectively because, of course, the NFL is sending its biggest brands to grow new markets. But here's the thing that's got the players' union paying attention. This is all happening without real input from the players themselves. The CBA allows for international games, but it was negotiated when we were talking about 2, maybe 3 games in London. Now we're at 9 games across 6 countries, and the NFLPA is starting to ask questions about whether this falls outside the spirit of what was agreed to. There's already talk about this becoming a major issue in the next CBA negotiations in 2030. The other massive elephant in the room, player safety and medical care. If a player suffers a serious injury in Sydney, what's the protocol? Are we flying them back to the United States immediately? Are we trusting foreign medical facilities with ACL reconstructions? What about follow-up care? These aren't theoretical questions. These are real logistical nightmares that team of medical staffs are freaking out about behind closed doors. So what happens next? The schedule is set, the games are happening, but the backlash is real, and it's coming from people who actually matter. Hall of Famers like Watt, current players who are voicing concerns privately, and fan bases who are feeling alienated by a league that seems more interested in Madrid and Melbourne than Milwaukee. The NFL is betting big that international revenue will outweigh domestic criticism. We're about to find out if they're right, or if J.J. Watt's Circus comparison becomes the defining narrative of the 2026 season. One thing's for sure, this isn't going away quietly.